And good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. It's a time of the day. Welcome to the Hook Route, the race between KindaNerdyHousewife and Gundampilotspaz. My name's Poydrak. I am one of your co-commentators today. In the background, we have Smapedy on the restream and Marty56 on the tracking. And my partner today, Boris Soren. Welcome to your first restream.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm excited tonight for some more free enterprise. We're getting into the meat of things. People are fighting for their spot in a playoff race.
Speaking of meat of things, I'm seeing some pie on KindaNerdyHousewife side, but no meat pie. Wait, I thought Gundampilotspaz was the one doing pie themes today.
I guess they traded places.
Yeah. I'll just let Smapedy consider that and see if he's actually put it around the correct way. But yes, hook out of the highway to the Threemus zone. We've got 3 objectives to complete today to give you the crystal to go and fight Threemus. Those objectives today are have Cuckold Forged Legend Sword with Adamant, the standard one throughout the entire lot. Defeat the boss of the Mist Cave, which is actually fairly quick. Vanilla White Spear Altar, which is the normal plague spot on the moon, and the Hostage on Mount Hobbs. So 2 very quick objectives there.
And 2 completely open objectives as well. So, depending on where darkness is and depending on who is at that spot, this could be a really quick one.
Yeah. We don't know what our starting character is because, well, they're both showing off their names. Fair enough. I'm trying to figure out what Gundam Pilot's group name is. I think it's Evangelion.
Yes, that's what chat is letting us know it is.
Yeah. So, Pi versus Evangelion.
Personally, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Tasty foods versus giant mechs.
Can't really go wrong with either.
And our starting character, as shown by KindaNerdyHousewife, is Hallam. So a very good character to start off with to get yourself running with those black magic spells.
And if you knock those 2 objectives out early, should have all of his level 2 elemental spells.
It'll take a couple of levels, but if they go to the Mist Cave first, still only given Ice 2, which still is a fairly decent spell to start off with.
And it looks like we have most people's favorite white mage, Rosa, and Spoon to start off with.
Spoon doesn't really give a whole lot. It's a weapon for Edward if you want to use it, throwing item for Edge if you want to use it. But right now it's really just an item. You can sell it for 5,000 gold though.
It does at least add to our key item count in case we come down to needing a more efficient grind.
Yeah, everyone's wanting to see that 10 key items get them a good boost on where they're good for Threemus. Of course, they've got to get there, which means they've got to find some characters, they've got to find some items to sell, and items to use. As normal, in these sorts of flags, we do have divergent starts. We've got KindaNerdyHousewife going to pick up some characters, and Gundapilot going to pick up some loot.
And I hope you guys like casting spells, because we have a ton of mages so far tonight. We see Rydia and Rosa, the 2 characters at Mysidia.
Yeah, definitely going to need levels on this. Equipment isn't so required at the moment because mages don't need a whole lot, especially Palom or Rosa later down the line. Rydia needs a little bit more because she's a little bit more squishy. But levels are definitely required on the table. A Dark Knight Cecil will help buff up the attack power a little bit, but he's not really a whole lot of help until you've gone to ordeals and you start really giving him the paladin treatment.
So, Poitrak, I'm interested to hear what your opinion of Cecil is with the vanilla agility flag on. I'm personally on the... Oh, and we see a Tella in the vanilla location. I'm personally on the team never Cecil unless the seed really wants me to take a Cecil.
On these types of flags, it's difficult to say who is if a Cecil is really good for you. I really am apathetic to taking him or not. It all really depends on what I've got at the time. If I feel he's going to be useful, I'll take him. If not, he will go to the sidelines along with a lot of other characters in the end. It all really depends on what my team composition is at the time. In this, with a bunch of mages, having a Dark Knight, having a Paladin Cecil to help cover later is a good thing. You'd have to give him levels, which will bump up his agility, but you can stop him at a certain point, which makes the Romus relative agility 2, agility 28 for Cecil, and you'll still be fine. And he'll have plenty of heavy equipment, have plenty of hit points to survive things.
The magic numbers 44 and 45 are worth keeping in mind. We do see K&H striking out a little bit, checking the Hobbs summon. We unfortunately only get Bomb out of that.
Yeah, Bomb really isn't too bad, too great. Kane and the Mega Sisters. This, I would definitely say Kane is a much better choice under these flag sets at the moment in time. He doesn't have the restriction on agility, and he can pretty much use everything that Cecil can, minus the Holy Swords. So...
The bows are a big loss if you're concerned about setting up the back row glitch, but otherwise I do agree. I love seeing a Kane.
Kane also brings in a couple of issues of his own. He doesn't have the same sort of early game punch that most characters have. He requires a fair amount of equipment and to actually be decent in the early game, but he does grow very quickly once you hit that mid game and beyond.
I think I did see an ice brand on somebody's screen. Hopefully K&H did pick that up, because it's going to really bump up Kane's power level.
Yeah. With the win against the Mega Sisters on Mount Hobbs, K&H is going to bring down the boss of the Mist Cave, which is Elements today. 2 objectives, get them out of the way. You've only got one more to do, which can be done through either the Darkness Crystal or finding the Legend and the Adamant, and you're off to the races. This could be very quick to finish up today.
And we'll just have to see where that darkness is and what they can do in terms of getting a grind together. I am personally a big fan of seeds that kind of push you to do maybe a suboptimal grind or maybe consider low-level strats, and it seems like the seed might push us in that direction.
Yeah, low-level strats I don't think are actually going to come into play. With everything that's sort of coming out of this at the moment, I'm expecting Silence to be in the underworld somewhere. You just need to find that Magma Key, which hasn't been found yet, but they haven't actually checked any key item locations yet. They haven't gone to Antlion, they haven't gone to Fabul, they haven't gone to Ordeals, they haven't done the Baron Inn. everything is still on the table in the overworld. They've just done, K&H has just done the 2 required objectives, while Gundam's been off shopping.
And I do like getting the objectives out of the way quickly. It means once you start hitting key item locations, you don't really have to worry about anything other than tracking down progression.
Hello, Golbez.
If I have to see Golbez, this isn't the worst place to see him.
No.
I don't know how many Star Veils we got with our starting kit.
The best part that K&H has done here is she's got Kane up in the air and stayed up in the air, at least for the moment, unless he comes down now, which he did. She could have had 2 characters die there, but Kane wasn't wanted to have that today. However, he is available to get that Star Veil up early, not being targeted by the disrupts, and this fight should be in the bag.
Yeah, it didn't work out, I think, exactly how she was hoping, but it did work out. Anytime you're able to queue up that Star Veil before Golbez starts casting spells, you know you're in good shape with the rest of the fight.
Yeah, and if Golbez starts hitting the person with the Star Veil up, you're even happier.
Not a great magic attack at this spot, but Golbez should pretty much take care of himself, though.
Yeah, Virus Slip 3, Fire 2, they'll all hit for about 200 to 300. This spot's got about 1,700 hit points, a little bit less than that because the Shadow Dragon does eat a little bit, but with Golbez trying to sort of destroy himself, she'll be fine today. Or the Star Veil could wear off.
Oof, that's tough. Oh, and on Gundampilot's side, I see he found a Sylph somewhere, which is really going to power up that Radia.
Radia with Sylph is great. Don't put her in the center spot, even with the Sylph glitch flag enabled. It will still cost her MP, but if she's anywhere else, she'll be able to cast that for free, and it's got a fair amount of attack power. It's got a decent amount of healing attached to that. Should sustain Gundam for a fair while.
Yeah, it really is a great tool for the early to mid game to really kind of help balance your party out. Make sure you have some burst healing and some early game free MP DPS as well.
Interesting what Gundam was doing there. Turned on encounters, run around a little bit, then turned them off and reset. I'm going to assume that he was going to set something up and then, or is setting something up to be skipped later. But I'm not entirely certain.
I'm not sure. He didn't take any encounters, so I'm not really sure what he was trying to set up there. And Marty56 pointing out in chat, he might have been shooting to kill someone off.
Yeah, could have been, but not really necessary at this stage. He has Teller, he has Radia. Radia with Sylph, you want her to be up. Teller, you can mostly kill off later because his agility growth isn't great at the start of the game. So not sure who he would want to drop at the moment. Everyone else is fairly useful. Palom, Kane, and Rosa.
And it looks like we have a free fight in Antlion Cave that you really would have hoped to have seen in a in a tougher spot.
Using that hourglass, I think that might be a little bit of a mistake to use here. With Sylph, I don't think you have to worry about these guards, as they don't hit hard enough, and really, they don't have enough health. They've got, 500 health between them?
Well, he doesn't have any levels on his Rydia yet, so she wouldn't have been able to cast, Sylph, but, I do agree that it was maybe not the best use of an early game hourglass.
Of course, they may still be in shops on the underworld or on the moon, so that use may be perfectly warranted.
It looks like we do have a hook.
A hook for the hook route? In the hook route side of the brackets, or hook route side of the highway to the Threemus zone? What is this? Actually expected items?
It's a fairly kind location to have found Evil Wall on KNH's side as she's climbing up ordeals.
Yeah, Evil Wall here will hit for less than 10 health. It's a fairly average spot in terms of speed, so it won't be getting to you very quickly, but really, you don't have to worry here.
And it looks like there was a black sword on the backside of Hobbs, so that Dark Knight Cecil has gotten a pretty big power boost.
If he keeps him, because he's just found this cane. And there goes the Cecil.
Can't say I blame him. That cane with the ice brand that he found is going to do a lot more damage than even the Dark Knight Cecil with his best weapon.
Yeah, most assuredly. It's definitely the best choice at this moment in time. If you're wanting Cecil, there's all the memes about, but what about second Cecil? It's actually fairly important that you have two Cecils if you're going to take one. It's not necessary, but it's usually advised.
And KNH is getting some incredibly friendly board AI right now. She's managed to not get her Palom targeted with any of these gradual petrification spells. So she's been able to keep pumping out the damage there without losing her main source of offense.
Yeah, no weapons for Kane at the moment, and I think she's still got the basic spears on them, which really, really is not wanted. So I'm actually surprised that she's got two.
Yeah, I think she might be counting on finding better weapons later in the seed, which with T Wildish is pretty reasonable. It is a little bit unfortunate that she didn't do as deep of a dive into the watery pass, and so she didn't find that ice brand that we know is available back there.
However, I think the word is not punished, or never punished, or punished, or something like that, because King Queen Emblem in the back attack spot, you love to see this.
Yeah, this back attack spot can be really nasty for an overworld check. I'm never upset to see something free here, because it is always very disappointing when you walk all the way up ordeals and you get to something at the Mylon Z spot that you just cannot get through.
Sure, you're going to be a bit disappointed that this is King Queen Emblem, a very easy boss in an early location, but the back attack spot usually he oversees everything there, and you just are happy to get this spot out of the way.
Yes, I have gotten thoroughly embarrassed by Odin, Plague, and Magus sisters at various times at this spot. It can be really nasty. The punches are not insignificant, and the programmers really cranked up the magic stat in this location so that the curse would land. So when you get something like Magus sisters or anything else that is going to be throwing spells at you, it can get really dangerous.
Yeah, strangely enough, the first spot of the Mantle Deals is actually better for has a higher magic stat, and the one and the back attack spot has a higher physical attack spot. When you sort of expect it to be a little bit different, it's because Mylon has lit 1 and the Ghasts have a very weak absorb vampire skill, so they need to be a little bit higher to make sure they hit, but there you go.
And it looks like we're going to get to play everybody's favorite game, Rate That Treasury, as we find the Earth Crystal at the top of Ordeals.
Antlion, this is a very good spot for him. Antlion is one of those bosses which you tend to have trouble with in a lot of locations, and at the top of Ordeals isn't one of them.
Well, it looks like we found our bonus round in the Baron Inn. D-Mist is hiding in the karate spot.
Yeah, the good part about this is that even though this is one of the higher magic, one of the higher physical attack spots in the overworld, Miss Dragon will hit 3 times and then sort of dissipate for a few turns. So you've got plenty of time to raise your characters back up to make sure you're fine, and everyone's there available for fighting.
And he does have the Tela for the blink spell, and this is where you'd kind of expect self-healing to be useful, but because the attack power is so high, any character that gets actually hit by D-Mist is probably down for the count.
Yeah, there's not many situations where, at least early, that you will survive a punch from any physical boss here. Usually, if you've got some heavy armor in the back row, that will help, but that option isn't available today. So with Mount Ordeals under her belt, KindaNerdyHousewife is also heading to Baron Inn. Still needs to go back for that Golbez fight, but one thing about knowing that Golbez is there means that underworld access can't be there.
That is a good thing to keep in mind. I don't think K&H has done Antlion yet, so she hasn't seen the hook. So this might just be like a quick information check before she starts making some other checks.
Yeah. So there's still quite the possibility of Magma Key being available on the other side of that Golbez, but with the way key items are stretched out, it's unlikely. But possibilities are sometimes in your favour that way. So, KindaNerdyHousewife is starting up their Leviathan fight. Gundam Pilot is going to go and check that Miss Dragon, not forgetting that they've done it. Slight dig at myself there. And
Find an edge.
yeah, that's an amazing weapon for Edge, or an amazing amount of money to sell for.
I think we found another Masamune too. So if I'm in the runner's place right now, I'm really hoping that somewhere early in this seed I'm gonna find a ninja.
There's still a few locations that we need to check. We've got that Earth Crystal from Ordeals that KindaNerdyHousewife has done. There might be a couple of edges up there. We've still got the hook route that is a possibility, and a few other locations available still. It's not out of the question, but depends on really when they pick them up and do they feel their team is good enough. I'd definitely take an edge over a Kane right now, though.
Right. And we're seeing a big difference here between K&H and Gundam in that, he did that deeper loot and found an ice brand, and that Sylph as well, so he's just got a lot more damage output. So he's having a much easier time with some of these overworld fights than K&H is having.
Yes. These are the sorts of give and takes with looting and shopping. And yes, Gundampilot spent a lot of time looting things, shopping, but he's found some very decent items and is more than happy to run with what he's found. KindaNerdyHousewife, on the other hand, has done a little bit less, done a few extra checks, but hasn't got through a few of those checks because they haven't had the equipment that is required.
Yeah, it is a big thing to weigh with this flag set. The T Wildish really kind of motivates you to go and do some heavy looting, but for every box you check, that could be progression that you're missing out on by spending a bunch of time going and just opening random treasure chests.
I'm not surprised that Gundam drops Teller there. Although Teller does facilitate a lot of grind options, he's found sirens in the Cave of Blana shop. He's found Buckus wines there. He doesn't need Teller at this point. He's got his grind options well in place. So dropping that, I think he'll be more than happy to say, let's buy a load of things and then go from there.
He does also have that Sand Ruby and the information that the character there is an Edward. So you can go ahead and grind up a full party for as many levels as you feel like you need to get through whatever underworld or moon bosses you're going to need the levels for, and then make a quick trip to Kaipo and grab yourself your endgame anchor.
Yeah. If a cursed ring is available, definitely going to be useful. Edward's a bit of an enigma as a anchor. He's not sort of settle issues, but he is fast when levels happen. So you really want to take him at level 5, which he shows up at, and not raise him any further than that. I think 2 levels gives him more than 10 agility, which is not ideal.
Yeah, Edward is a little bit like Cecil in that regard, in that it's very easy to go from thinking you have your anchor situation sorted to all of a sudden not having your agility situation for your Z fight be where you want it to be.
Yeah, the happy part is if you find a cursed ring, you don't need to really worry about too much. But without that cursed ring so far, I don't think either of our runners have found one yet. agility manipulation is a little bit more difficult to start off with.
The only thing I'll say in favor of Cecil is that, or in favor of Tella, as Chad is kind of talking up the benefits or the downsides of Tella, is that, you know, we've seen Hook. That blink spell can really help you get through some otherwise tricky or almost impossible hook routes.
Very true. Blink is, in some people's opinions, the second or first best spell in the game, because it gives you so much immunity to physical attacks and is a 0 cast time spell. If you've got your characters that's available to actually just do that, it's definitely a good way out of a lot of physical bosses.
And KNH does make it through that demist fight. After running out of NP on her Palom, she manages to scrape together enough damage with her canes, and it looks like she has a power staff for that Rosa.
Taking young. Considering no equipment for Kane here, I'm not surprised.
You know, I'm not either, and there's no guarantees that when you raid that treasury you're going to find something good for Kane. So I'm a big fan there of dumping one of the more gear-dependent characters when you know you can get somebody that just needs the levels.
Yeah, he's not going to be a whole lot of help to start off with, because his attack power at base level is diabolical. However, with a little bit of tender loving care, he will become one of the biggest powerhouses of a physical damage dealer you can ask for. It just takes him 30 levels to get there.
What's 30 levels between friends? Now, I'm really interested to see where KNH goes from here. She's done the 2 overworld objectives. She knows there's that nasty gold bez at Fabul. She's got the Earth Crystal and the Treasury to check. And she does find a Blizzard Spear for her cane that she kept, which is a really nice pickup.
Yeah, she's going to be really happy that that's available to her now as a weapon. And okay. She's going to be really happy she looted Mist there.
That's huge.
Yeah, so the cursed ring, minus 15 to every stat. You might think, why would you ever want to do that? Well, there's one particular stat in there, those that is the most important, which is agility. We've been saying about agility manipulation. The cursed ring is the easiest source of allowing your characters, except the one that's sort of cursed and is really the slowest, to make everyone go faster. Because agility is based off of one of 2 things. The first one being Cecil, with the agility agnostic, or the agility vanilla agility flag that we have now, or the person in the center spot. If their agility is 1, everyone around them gets a action every tick of the game. So those characters will be going very fast, and if you're using berserk strats, you'll be getting an attack every tick, and that's extremely powerful.
Yeah, it's one of the ways that we found to really smooth out the Zeromus fight. When you don't have to fight fair with your agility, it can really smooth things out. KNH really wants to get that that Sylph and
Sell the Murasame. Yeah, that was the best thing you can sell there. You haven't seen an edge. You've got a Masamune. Sell the Murasame.
And she's still got the boomerang. She's still got another legendary ninja sword. She unfortunately gets the Kaipo Lady trap.
And she's still got the Troya Treasury to open up, so there might be another legendary bit of steel in there. Of course, you still need the edge, but who's counting edges right now?
You know, and that is one of the things you have to really weigh when you're looking at this flag set is how long do I want to hold on to my tier 6, tier 7 gear if I haven't seen a relevant character. If I can buy a stack of 15 sirens right now, is it really worth holding on to that Murasame or to that Excalibur in the hopes that I eventually see a character that can use it?
In terms of a Murasame, I would sell that quicker than any other ninja blade, at least. That's available. If it's a ninja blade or a Masamune, those ones I would keep for a little bit longer. A Murasame is definitely on the lower end of the scale in my opinion, and is a very good item to sell if you need the money quickly.
Does have that tricky penalty to agility that was easy not to notice when you were playing the vanilla game 30 years ago.
Yeah, does boost Edge's magic stat, the wheel stat, but you can get that same from a mute knife.
Oh boy, that was a really good treasury. 2 Stardust Rods, a Life Staff, a Crystal Sword.
Yep. Does anyone remember that there was a Cecil in this seed?
Well, that Crystal Sword is a lot of money.
And of course, we've still got character checks, so there still may be a second Cecil available. And I doubt he will be passed up.
Now, Crystal Sword is one of 2 things that will make me keep a Cecil, the other being an Excalibur.
Strangely enough, Excalibur isn't enough for me to keep a Cecil off straight up. Crystal Sword is. Excalibur isn't, because you've got that agility issue to keep in mind. Right. A Crystal Sword Cecil is just supersedes everything. Excalibur, not quite so much, at least in my opinion.
So that Rydia is really going to tear apart any boss that is going to be up in Zot here. She's got that Stardust Rod and Sylph. She's really going to put in a lot of work for KNH. And it's kind of a gamble. This is a longer check to make, but she's got the characters and the gear now that she's hit the treasury that she should be able to make it through without too many issues.
Yeah. Gundam heading over to Sheila probably was just a bit lonely for some home cooking. Hasn't actually been to the underworld yet. But did get through Golbez. Don't see anything on the tracker that is new, so I'm assuming it was just another piece of gear. Odin up on the halfway point in Tower of Zot. Shouldn't be too bad.
She's got a Quake Kid with a Stardust Rod that knows Lit 2, so should be problem solved pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain. There might be I believe I've seen a Thunderclaw somewhere. I'm not sure if it's on KNH's side or Gundam's side. There it is on Gundam's side, so it's KNH likely doesn't have that for her Yang to use. We'll see in a moment, depending on how much damage he does, but even at base level, it's not a whole lot.
And as long as she gets this lit 2 off, she should be fine.
Not exactly. This spot does have a whole lot of hit points because this is the Mega Sister spot and their hit points gets combined. There's around 9,000 hit points here. You don't get through that very quickly. And this Odin attack is going to be strong.
Okay, this one should do it.
There it goes. Being just a bit under the wire, does get virus from that, so got a quicker spell to cast for Palom. That's going to be very helpful for her. Meanwhile, Gundam is going to go and find the treasury and is going to be ecstatic at what is found there. As long as they find another Cecil. Otherwise, they're just going to be happy.
Now really at this point, if we find a paladin or if we find a ninja, we've got top tier gear for them.
How about another Palom?
I heard you like black mages.
I tolerate them. And an Edward, so no Cecil, no edge on Zot, so...
We do have a spoon.
I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough to take an Edward at this point. If they want an Edward later, there's the one in the bed in Kaipo. Edward's one of those characters who you take as a sort of last resort.
We do see a free fight in the vanilla Valvalis spot. 1 hourglass, a virus or two, and this will be over.
Yeah, this is definitely a nice place to use that hourglass. We were saying it's not the greatest to use in that Antlion spot earlier, but this spot's fairly quick and fairly strong, and so I think this is a worthy place for it.
Yeah, and you did see that Palom, with the multicast virus, not able to take down the soldiers. This is a location this is a boss that if you can, take care of all the soldiers, it becomes free as the officer runs away, but not quite enough magic power to take them all down at once.
Making use of the life glitch to get a little bit of extra experience here. This is a fairly decent amount of experience compared to a lot of other places, and the majority of the experience is on that officer, so definitely going to see a nice little jump here. Yeah, 13,000 experience, and compared to what I think is normally around 8,000 there, that's a very nice jump.
Zerk, guess it's quick. It's pretty much all we need for right now.
Gundam's jumping, getting through the Odin's fight shouldn't have too much of an issue here. It's a little bit better geared still, so Iridia should survive some punches, as that she didn't on KindaNerdyHousewife's side. Palom is just going to lit the way through this, and well, 2 Canes shouldn't be too bad here, especially since they're they've got a few extra decent weapons. KindaNerdyHousewife has stopped fading, and Lion is going to go and pick up their hook. Gundam Pilots is now completely done with the overworld. There's only the hook route. We know this is going to be the tower key. So looks like hook is definitely the way to go today. So, what are you expecting down on the hook route? Who are you wanting to see down there? Sounds like we've lost Boren Soren. Hopefully he'll be back sometime soon. In my there you are.
I had hit the mute button. Well, my race is on Saturday, so I'm personally hoping for something very friendly for the runners. The last hook route I ran had a DKC at King and Queen, which is not fun. So, I'd like to see something either that is going to challenge them technically, or something that gets us quick and clean underground access, and we can see some really exciting diversions once they get under there.
I'm always hoping for a bit of troll. I'm with this particular team. I don't think we're in too much danger of having anything that's going to stop them. But Ogo Pogo in either spot is going to be a challenge for them.
Yeah, Ogo Pogo would be tough, especially at King and Queen, because that spot is very fast. It's going to punch very hard.
So, yeah, that's my hope. We see an Ogo Pogo. We make the runners think a little bit. I don't think it's going to stop them too much. At least on Gundam's side, I don't think it's going to stop too much, because Kane should be able to survive it in the back row. Oh, it's just how do they get through the hit points to get through that. But then again, maybe I'm just wanting the world to burn.
No, it is fun, when you're not in the runner's position, to kind of hope sometimes for something a little bit more challenging, a little bit trickier, that makes you, think on your feet and, find a creative way through. Chad is asking for Evil Wall at Rubicante, and we unfortunately have already seen him at Mount Ordeals, so no really trolly Evil Wall today, at least.
KindaNerdyHousewife is deciding not to have anything to do with that gold bears, fading in the ball completely and heading underground into the Cave of Lana. It's going to see those sirens, is likely going to sell the bank for it. That's a nice chest over there, though.
Yeah. Zeus Gauntlet is always good to find. It does kind of tempt me into doing that Mad Ogre's chest as well, because it does offer the protection against giants.
KindaNerdyHousewife picked up 4 sirens and 4 Balkus ones, I believe that was. Meanwhile, Gundam Pilot is selling as much as possible and is likely going to be picking up a fair amount of them as well. 10 sirens, free Bacchus wines. Might be back a bit later to pick up some more Bacchus wines. 10 sirens, though, should be enough for likely what they're looking for as a grind. Still do need to find that darkness crystal to get to the White Spear altar. Either that or Legend Sword and Adamant and pass to be on their way to Threemus.
So in terms of free bosses, what do we have left? I think we're just looking at the Dark Imps. Otherwise, it looks like we could be... Oh, no.
That's not too bad. That actually is good for our runners. This spot only hits for 300 hit points maximum.
8 to 396. So actually much friendlier than I thought it was.
Yeah, so should be easily able to survive that just with Yang. The mages likely won't survive, but Yang should do that. I think Kane's touch and go to survive it as well, but as long as you can get through it, you don't mind. And our runners will look at that and go, huh, that's possible.
Yeah, and I don't think Gundam kept the Yang, so I'm not sure where Kane is going to be at HP-wise.
Currently at 722, will likely be at around about 850 after this. So he's going to need to be healed at least once in this, in that fight. But getting off one cure or two potion is a heck of a lot easier than trying to actually get in some places required 3 or 4.
This is another spot that Tella would have been very useful. Having done Mount Ordeals, you could have done a size cast on these ogres, and then all of these cane swings would be one-shotting them.
Interesting. Gundam Pilot isn't life glitching.
I think with the sirens he picked up, he must be feeling confident enough in his levels that he's just more concerned about going quickly rather than worrying about the little bit of extra experience.
That might be the case, but you've still got that King Queen Evelyn spot, which can be a roadblock in some with some bosses. Having those extra experience points, those extra levels, I think outweighs the need. And it's not like 3 life potions are really going to take that much time. It's an extra 30 seconds at most. I really think it would have been worth it to get those life potions, those life glitches off.
I know I personally would have gone for the life glitch there. I'd be interested to hear from Gundam what his thinking was for that encounter at least.
KindaNerdyHousewife has, I believe, a poison axe on their cane, so they're going to be hitting these giants fairly hard. Oh yeah. Not quite getting that life glitch off because a little bit slow on the uptake, but it shouldn't be too bad to get through this. There's a roadblock.
That is a rough one.
That is a very big potential roadblock.
Well, that said, he does have 2 canes with ice elemental weapons. If he can manipulate his agility enough to get 2 swings off from them before the water goes up, And actually, it looks like he's done enough damage to.
Yeah, that first hit of 2,200 on with that top cane definitely brought the attack power of that wave down, and everything else should be fine from here. This isn't a spot that gives you experience anyway, so Rosa being down isn't an issue.
Ground Flyer pointing out in chat that if these two bosses were flipped, this would be an absurdly challenging hook route. As it is, it's as close to free as you can get without truly being free.
Yeah, if these were, as he says, if these were flipped, this is dangerous, but this way round, not so much. Definitely a potential roadblock in some cases though, but Gundam had the means to get through it very quickly and took it. So these canes have a little under 800 hit points. Just making sure that they'll survive 2 waves, which still not necessarily going to happen, but that bottom one will. So everything's good.
And just under an hour in, it looks like we're finally into the underworld.
Not the quickest, since they have cleared up the entirety of the overworld and done Zot as well, but fairly smooth. Should be fine. To get really moving in the underworld now. They've got sirens, and they can go out and find some coffins for some early killings of those, and then just see if they can find that darkness crystal as soon as possible.
I don't know that either of them really have the damage output right now to take care of eggs very easily right now. They do have a Stardust Rod and Quake Kid, so that should be good enough even at the levels that they're at, if either runner feels like they want to go ahead and try to take some on right now.
Yeah, Quake should eat through the 1800 hit points of an egg. I think they just making sure they've got have some coffins to do that, and doing a bit of extra shopping isn't a bad thing. Gundam though is saying, you know what? I've got dolls at the top of a tower. I've got a Quake Kid. I've got a tower key. Let's go straight back in.
I can't really blame them. You wind up right there if you feel like you have the resources to just knock out 2 checks without having to fly around too much. Go ahead and knock those out, and then you don't have to worry about flying back and walking all the way up again. And I did see KNH cash in all of her silver apples. I think she's going to be a little bit disappointed when she sees the damage numbers come in, that her Yang could have taken all of those hits even without the extra 150 HP.
I don't think she's going to mind. I think this is really just make sure everything is in place to survive this with as little trouble as possible. Plus, with Yang being in the queue now, he'll be able to raise someone up, or that could be an instant justice and not get the chance. No matter what happens, though, KNH is through. We have both of our runners into the underworld now. Where's this darkness crystal?
This is where the seed really starts getting fun. All of the underground is open to you. You've got your black mages for the warp glitch. You've got the tower key, so you can full clear tower. Really, the only thing that we don't have right now is the pan. Otherwise, our runners really have a lot of options.
Yeah, this could, as you mentioned earlier, this could be a major divergence point. Gundam has said, I'm going back up into the tower. KindaNerdyHousewife could go in a completely opposite direction.
And just another holy sword from the top of tower, unfortunately.
Not exactly what you want to see. Let's put it simply. This is a race. You don't want to see items which are going to hold you up. And finding Excalibur at the top of the tower after walking all the way up there with no Cecil and having a crystal sword already is, in a lot of people's opinions, a waste. Sure, it's a fairly high experience spot, but the dolls split it up, and without the 10 key items, it's not as high as you might think.
And it looks like KNH is going to go the miniature grind route, crack the 4 sirens that she bought and gave Eblon, and we'll see where she goes from there.
Unfortunately, Palom is one of the last is the last runner on that team, but one quake, one scrambled egg. That is Water Hag. This is one of the worst spots you want to see Water Hag, strangely enough.
I think Water Hag and Alt Gauntlet are my 2 least favorite fights to find at this spot.
Considering this spot has 750 hit points, roughly, Water Hag doesn't care about those hit points. It requires 3 hits, and then it will die on its own. So this is just sort of time sort of passing by. However, it's through it, we'll find out what the item is at the bottom of the tower on their way out, and then we'll see where they go next. KindaNerdyHousewife is making a beeline for the Fate Marsh, though.
She opens one chest and finds a defense sword for her cane.
That I'm just gonna go with the meme picture, meme gif of the boy looking at the camera and doing a thumbs up.
And the pan. So now the entirety of the underworld is open to our runners. So we'll see if KNH has any interest in taking these Fame March bosses.
Yeah. That particular rest spot in Fame Marsh, I actually think is a lot better than people give it credit for. Cabins seem to be a rarity among what people buy nowadays because they don't really search for them. And just having that little shop, that little rest area there, it seems to be gaining in popularity. Just to make sure people are ready for these bosses. And CPU and Bahamut in these spots, these aren't really that dangerous.
Now that CPU is going to be a long fight, but with Sylph, it is going to be a free one.
So the crystal sword, you know you want to, Gundam. Resisting the temptation, but there are coffins here, so they're going to be really happy they held off on that. Likely we'll go and do a little bit of grind as well after this. There's maybe 2 or 3 eggs before heading to their next location. Bahamut is charging the laser and takes out a couple of characters, but takes out a lot of himself as well.
I'm not quite sure what the HP total is here, but I think with the damage output that she has, combined with the quad 9s, Bahamut chipped in on himself. I think she should be fine here before she sees another one. Yeah,
this is 25,000. It will take 2 free fall reflected mega nukes, or 2 and a little bit of extra damage, which is usually the better option. But the star bells don't last forever, such as the one that was just on Kane. Most important people actually stayed up for that, the mages. So that was well. I don't think KindaNerdyHousewife is going to be too displeased with that. And finding the adamant, we are 1 key item away from go. Either the legend sword or the darkness crystal. Well, if we get the legend, we still need a way to the moon, but that can be the pass. So. We're one key item away from the crystal.
And I think if I'm in either of these runners' shoes, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous because I checked everything that's available on the overworld. The hook was a little bit easier than it might have seemed like it would be. And now everything is in front of me. So every decision that you make could either be a massive branching point that leads you down a rabbit hole, or it can be the 1 key item that you need to put you in go mode. Because it really is just a race to the darkness crystal.
Yeah, KindaNerdyHousewife is playing the numbers game, going for the pan check. I think this is easily the best option. It is the easiest check. It's a little bit long-winded because you've got to go down, hit Yang with the pan, go to Sheila for both for her 2 items. But I think this is definitely the best play to make because it's free key item checks.
Absolutely.
The first one from the Sylph is...
Oh my!
Half go mode. That's the legend
mode.
8 key items. Going to go and like to go and check with Sheila anyway after this. All they need is 1 key item, and they've got 10 because forging that legend sword and the adamant will give the crystal for 9. They just need 1 more.
And the nice thing here is she does have a lot of tier 7 items to sell depending on what goods are in this shop.
And she's got 1 up on Gundam. She's done that Bahamut for the adamant. Gundam has not done that. So if she can get that 10 key items, do her grind for with Sirens to get going, she doesn't need to stop on the moon. And if she finds the pass, brilliant. If she gets the darkness crystal, she doesn't need to stop and get the crystal from the White Spear altar. She can just go straight to Z. Sell the crystal sword. Sell the crystal sword. You don't need it now. She's not going to take a Thessal at this point.
I saw ribbons. I saw some golden apples.
I saw a defense sword, which she doesn't need now, but there's definitely one there. Artemis arrows, I don't think are really that happy to see. She sold the Artemis bow earlier. But Rosa's more white mage duty at this point anyway, so it doesn't matter. Those are some decked out mages though.
2 Stardust rods, a black robe for Palom, a life staff for his Rosa, or her Rosa, sorry. Yeah, I'd be really happy with that gear.
So there's 9 key items. What have we got from Sheila? Gundam, show us these items. Package.
So K&H will have her 10 key items.
And Magma Key. So Gundam is at a big disadvantage here. KindaNerdyHousewife is going to find their 10 key items. Is going to likely go and buy more sirens, grind up, and then just look for that darkness crystal or a pass. And if a pass is found in an easy location, I think that just puts it more in her favor than Gundam's.
Now, Dwarf Castle is the next kind of obvious density of check to make. We haven't seen either runner check it, so if pass and darkness are there,
there's one
huge lead.
Yeah, one small-ish thing I'm definitely going to say here is without the Luca key being found, we know that darkness crystal, or at this moment in time, isn't logically available in in the Luca cave through the warp glitch. It's not logically available there. It still might be, because the Luca key may be somewhere that hasn't been found yet, but it's not logically meant to be there. So the only space that we can think of is this first one through the 2 fights in Dwarf on this check.
And Chad is pointing out we haven't seen what's behind CPU either. So it could be that Luca is there. But I can't imagine either of our runners with their mage-centered parties are going to be in a rush to go check that.
So we've got 2 possible spots. So these first 2 fights in Dwarf or CPU at this moment in time. Both are going for the same thing.
And we've got Leg. And Leg is going to meet 2 ice elemental weapons.
This spot isn't too bad, but those 100 hit points, 150 hit points fire 2 counters is definitely a chunk out of his totals. You don't really want to go through them continuously. And that second cane isn't really doing a whole lot of damage.
Do we know? We know we've done Zot, so we know it's. I believe it's Dr. Lugay at this at the Golbez spot.
It is, yes. did get through, not without a whole lot of problems on the hit point side, only the 2 Canes surviving. I don't think Gundam's going to mind so much, because this fight isn't really that strong to start off with.
No, and it's something like 3,000 HP split between 3 different enemies.
4 different enemies, because there's Gundampilotspaz as well. So these 2 fights will have around about 600 each. Gundampilotspaz would also account for about 700, and Dr. Luge, his second form, about 700. Nerdy Housewife, having done extra little bits of grind, having an easier time through.
And she did get that extra experience from having done Bahamut on all of her mages. So they're a little bit hardier, doing a little bit more damage. And another mage.
She's well set up to take over the lead from this, in my opinion, and well, take over the winning of this fight in terms of where they are at in them. She's definitely in the lead at the moment, but she should get out of this fight quicker than Gundam does.
So, Poydrak, if you're in one of these runner's shoes and you know you're in go mode, what sort of party composition are you thinking of? Are you thinking of
this one,
keeping your young and keeping the whole crew?
This one. I am not worried about in the slightest with this group. Even without agility manipulation, this group actually has a fairly good setup for that. Young can hit 28 agility fairly easily. Palom is fairly slow as a character.
Oh, this is really bad news for Gundam Pilot, as we do see the pass in the crystal room check.
Yeah. Palom is a fairly slow character, and Kane is very quick, so he should be hitting at least his relative agility too. I am more than happy with this particular team. This team looks good for me, and I will run this team to the end. KindaNerdy Housewife does have a curse ring to make it a little bit easier, but yeah, you've got plenty of power in this team. Run it.
Looks like we are getting music, though. It's kind of unfortunate for Gundam. Can't really blame them for wanting to fade those Fey March checks. But, we do have the foresight to know that is the play to make. But if he does find the Darkness Crystal here, he's well on his way to go mode as well. And he does have sirens to be able to do a moon grind.
Yeah. KindaNerdy Housewife is going to pick up that pass and go, ooh, I can grind and go. Gundam, it's just unfortunate that he didn't do the one check that allowed him to do that, and that's Bahamut. I don't blame him for skipping out on it. It's a deceptively easier fight than it looks.
Yeah, and I don't know how many Star Veils he had. I know his Rosa certainly didn't have the levels to be able to cast Wall. But it might have just been a case of he took a look at it and said, I don't have the resources to do this right now. I'll come back when I have had a chance to buy some more Star Veils, or when I have enough levels on my team that I can do CPU at the same time.
Yeah. I fully expect KindaNerdy Housewife to go and pick sirens up now, but that is completely off the wall. We're not wondering about that now. We've got music to listen to, so enjoy, everyone. Good old timeless classics. End of Time from Chrono Trigger.
This is a great rendition of that tune. Meanwhile, K&H has grabbed her anchor. She's going to go buy some more sirens, grind up, and she should be in the Z fight soon.
And Gundam is through Octomam. What is their reward here? Is it going to be the Darkness Crystal? Are we going to have a race on our hands? Or is he going down even more of a rabbit hole? We've got a race.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So he bought extra star veils, or extra sirens, so he can grind on his way down the LST. So they should be in the Z fight around the same time. It's just a matter of, is the pure reflex strats that K&H is going to be using faster than the kind of hybrid strats that Gundam is set up to use?
Well, K&H did drop Rydia for Edward, so it's also going to likely be going hybrid here. Does have a bit of a head start on their grind already, since they've already done a few extra fights and extra sirens. And they've got a shorter path to Threemus with that pass. Gundam, although they've got a fairly easy fight in the White Spear Altar, their grind is a little bit more difficult because they don't have any good ways to get through them on the moon. They don't have a teller. They've got hourglasses, but even those are a little bit slower because the Gold Dragons actually have a fair amount of hit points in 8,000.
Yeah, I guess it does depend on what he finds in that item shop and who the character on the lunar dais is. Because if we see another Tella, I'd be tempted to grab him, have him cast weak a few times, and then take a nap.
Yeah, the other issue is he doesn't have that cursed ring that K&H has. So anchoring is going to be a little bit more problematic for him. So K&H grinding, well, quaking. Actually, Quakes are two plates grinding against each other, so yes, grinding to get at those Threemus levels. Let's see what the decisions on Gundam is. I think his decisions are a lot more interesting at this point. He's definitely got a lot available to him. Grinding eggs was definitely an option that he could do. But he's decided to go to the moon, so what's his thinking?
Well, if he can get the right one, it's really tough to get the agility situation correctly, although Edward really helps. He can do Warlocks if he can get a mute spell off in time. I'm not sure if he has Hourglasses. He did also pick up Coffins, which would make Warlocks pretty quick as well.
Yeah, Warlocks is definitely a good viable option with tanky items. That's over 100,000 150,000 of experience with life glitches. No respect for Rydia today. She's done a whole lot of work for both characters, but neither is going to the Z fight with them.
She gets a before the big day.
Yeah. I'm going to throw myself to the wolves here, but I actually think because of the grinding available and the equipment we've got for our characters, Rosa would be the better one to drop. And I know I'm throwing myself to the wolves here, but Nuke is such a fast spell. Yeah, Rydia is going to take a little bit longer to get Rydia up to that, but with what they've got, I don't think they are needing to worry about healing. I really don't. I think full out attack is the better option here. Of course, we won't know the difference because they're going in with pretty much the same team. Well, except one's got a Young and one's got a Kane. But I don't think the Z fight's going to be an issue in either case. So Gundam is running through with their grind of choice, which will be King Ryu's. Only got 4, I think I only saw 4 hourglasses there, so we're likely going to see 4 sets of these, which is more than enough for a whole boatload of experience.
Yeah, at 10 key items, this will go pretty quick.
The fights will take a fair amount of time though. As I said, King Ryu's have 8,000 hit points. You don't chunk through that very quickly like you do with the eggs. But this is definitely safe with the hourglasses happening. And once Palom gets up to mid-40s, he'll have weak, so you can go with that option as well for the last couple. Other than that, we are pretty much just waiting for them, for one of them to say, I'm done. KindaNerdyHousewife is looking close though. I think they 1 or 2 more sirens and they will be on their way.
Yeah, just looking at HP totals, she should have all the spells. It's just a matter of, when does she feel safe jumping in on the race.
Yeah, 2,500 hit points is usually the median safe amount for Rosa. With the amount of gear they've got in terms of defensive equipment, I don't think you even need to go that high. Level 51, yeah, that's looking good.
Yeah, and with those ribbons, with the high tier defensive gear, her mages should be fine to take any unnerved big bangs that do come along.
Yeah, and she is saying, I am done, I am going, it is time for everyone's favourite guessing game. Boris Owen, this is your first commentary. I believe this is your time to shine.
Well, seeing as we randomize everything else, we thought, let's go ahead and give Threemus a little bit of a makeover. So, around this time of the season, we like to ask,
yeah, over 450 Z-sprites. And who knows what we're going to pick out of the hat today. No matter which one it's going to be, though, this should be a fairly academic final fight for KindaNerdyHousewife.
I did see her turn her battle speed back down to 1, I believe I saw, which should be okay with hybrid strats. It does make it a little bit trickier, but she's got the Bacchus wines, she's got a nuke caster. This is going to be nice and quick.
Yeah, the Berserkers will more than happily buffer those spells to be cast by Rosa and Palom today. As long as they're swinging, I don't see much more being an issue. And the Z sprite is... we're being invaded. Do we need to kill each one of them individually?
I think so. And it looks like, unfortunately, we don't have the protective cover underneath of Z, so this might be a little tricky.
Okay, we're in for a longer fight than you might expect. Each one of those has 120,000 hit points. We're not that bad, actually.
Oh, that's really...
Scala is pretty evil. She might have programmed that in somehow.
That's really unfortunate. It looks like KNH's Palom took that counter nuke. Even with the gear he's got, he did go straight down.
Yeah, nuke though is a very powerful spell. I don't think it's going to be a small issue. Yeah, nuke is going to... nuke is a big part of the damage here, but you're not too bothered as long as you're continuing that damage from Yang and Kane here. And as long as Rose is up, your health is going to be fine.
And it does look like KNH is trying to prioritize getting her Palom back up. So that the Young isn't berserked yet.
It should be she should be putting the box wine on him this time. Just took a little bit longer to get going, but no, actually just attacking. Interesting. Just shoring up his hit points a little bit. Didn't really need that because of the amount of hit points Jon gets naturally, but just being safe here is not a bad thing. Threemus can, at some points, throw a fight in a pretty bad direction.
And you know you've got good levels and good gear when an unnerved Big Bang only does around 1100 to your mages.
That nuke just must have been one of the outliers. That can do anywhere between 800 and the full 2200, I think it is. It doesn't just happen to hit high on Palom today. Most other occasions with the equipment, I don't think that would have really mattered.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It looks like KNH had a nuke queued prior to the black hole.
Yeah, like I said, Threemus can throw things off in strange ways, and that is one of them. Luckily, I don't think there's going to be too much of an issue recovering from this. Kane and Rosa have plenty of hit points to survive the next Big Bang. Palom should survive it easily as well. It's just a matter of that last star bell for Palom, and that was a high roll on.
Oh no. That's really unfortunate.
This could be a tighter race than we might think. This is danger territory for Rosa here. Sorry, for KindaNerdyHousewife here.
I think she should be okay if she just rides this Kane and Rosa. Rosa has the HP pool to just tank even the unnerved Big Bangs. And then she can just, resurg up Kane when the black hole comes in.
Safety for 2 there. Rosa should be getting another turn easily in time for the next wave of attacks. It's a Big Bang anyway, black hole anyway, so even more time. Plenty of Bacchus wines for that Kane. I don't see her picking up anyone else, and as you said, it's likely going to ride these 2 until the end.
Looks like we are in phase 2, so as long as she avoids the dreaded Big Bang into Meteo, she should be good. And Gundam also gets his go mode by beating D-Lunars at the White Spear altar.
Gets the Gundampilotspaz spear. I actually think that's the best weapon he's found for Kane. So he's actually going to be happy with that.
I don't know if he bought any of the... Well, actually, no, he didn't forge the Excalibur, so unless he also went looting through the Fey March, I don't know that he found that defense sword.
Yeah, and he's got 2 Canes, so 1 defense sword isn't really enough. Kane and Rosa, though, the forbidden pairing, definitely letting this go, and that's rocks that didn't hit, so this fight should be over very, very soon.
And I think K&H did put a ribbon on her Kane, so he's got plenty enough magic defense to dodge these Meteo rolls.
Two Meteos missed, and there is the drop of Threemus. No flash because flash-ins are off, and KindaNerdyHousewife wins today in a time of 1 hour, 35 minutes and 6 seconds, and I do believe she's joined us. Congratulations on your win.
Thanks so much. That was a fun one. I'm really glad I decided to fight Bahamut.
Yeah, that was definitely the turning point. You were a little bit behind Gundam going down into the underworld. You had a little bit of trouble going round on the overworld. It seemed just there was a few bosses that just didn't like you today. But that Bahamut definitely turned it around, giving you that adamant, and then you finding the legend swords immediately after it, that with the sylphs.
Yeah, and then I got the pass after that, so I didn't have to walk all the way down the lunar basement.
Yeah.
And that does look like it's going to be just about the difference between you and Gundam Pilot. He's only going to finish about 7 or so minutes behind you, so it really was the difference between having to walk down the LST and being able to just go in through Troya.
Yep, I'm assuming he didn't fight Bahamut then?
He did not. No, the first thing he did when underground was go back into the tower to complete that, since they had the tower key. Then went off to Dwarf Castle, which gave him the Twin Harp, which then gave the Darkness Crystal, and he completed the White Spear Altar objective to get his go mode.
Oh, that's cool. I really like these flags and how there's different paths to victory, and I know when I'm watching it's really fun when both runners take a different path.
Yeah, you were both underground around the same time, and I know certainly from my perspective, I was really excited to see how the divergence was going to play out, because you had both found a tower key in the overworld, So just about everything underground was open to you, and it was a matter of, you know, who's going to guess right in terms of what checks they make.
Yep, I'm a little sad I faded Antlion. The gear in there would have helped me with those couple of bosses I struggled on. And I was really worried. I'm like, oh no, if the magma key's down here, I'm in trouble. But then it was the hook, and I'm like, yes, I'm still in it.
Yeah, and that hook route wasn't really too bad for you both today. Kenyatso in the first spot, Dark Knight Cecil in the second spot. Reversed, it could have been a bit of a different story, but you got through that fairly quickly and just kept going to the races afterwards. What was your thinking going down? Did you feel you were ahead at that point, or did you think I need to just do a few off the wall checks?
No, I thought I was doing pretty well. So I just, I thought I was doing pretty well, so I wasn't feeling too much pressure. Once I got underground, I cracked a few eggs, and I'm like, okay, I'll see if I can take any of these Feymarch bosses, and it paid off. Yeah,
we're going to mention it a whole lot, but that Bahamut was definitely the one. It's a deceptively easy spot. Gundam did look at it and noped right out of it. As long as you've got Star Veils, it's not too bad, and a little bit of extra damage. But why did you go for it straight up? Just looking at it, because there was no hesitation. You went straight into it.
I'm just like, well, there's not much HP here. If he nukes himself a few times, I'm done. It's over. I always try to take out those bosses when I think it won't be a ridiculous amount of time. It's just my normal routing, I guess.
Yeah, and you probably saw the other one at that spot and went, that's going to take a while. So let's just do the one that I can do quickly and bail on that, and it definitely worked out for you.
Yeah, exactly. That was a pretty kind seat, though. Getting a Rosa right off the bat, that's always nice. I ditched Cecil. that vanilla agility is no bueno.
Yeah, there's a lot of things okay about vanilla agility in some places, in some situations, but a lot of people just don't want to deal with it. And then you sort of found the crystal sword. Why didn't you sell that quicker?
I don't know. I guess just in case if there was a second Cecil in Dwarf Castle, I probably would have taken him because I had the crystal sword. But after that, I got rid of it and got a bunch of ribbons, and those really helped.
Yeah, I saw an unnerved Big Bang come in and only do about 1100 to pal him, and that's when I knew, like, this Z fight is going to be nice and easy.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy Z fight.
Definitely helped where you had the easy anchor with the cursed ring and
my
Edward.
Zero agility Edward. Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty academic Z fight. Not really too much that can be said about that one, really. But 1-0, you're in the hook route. You're in the last chance saloon, basically. You're probably happy with the start of a 1-0. Are you expecting too much more going forward?
I mean, I'm gonna try my best. There's some good players down here, so it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be an uphill climb, but I'm trying to make it out of the hook route here.
Yeah. As it is meant to be, it is the most dangerous path, and we do wish you the best of luck through it. And hopefully, we'll at least see you run into those play-ins, and if you win those, you've secured your way through against all the odds.
Yep. Okay. I think that's it for me. Thanks, y'all, for restreaming me, and I'll catch you next time.
Yeah. Have a good day, and congratulations.
And
Meanwhile,
just in time, Gundam Pilots made it through his Z fight.
yeah, an official time of 1 hour 42 minutes and 21 seconds. He has now joined us. Congratulations on getting through the seed. You sort of just missed out on one check. So how does that? It was just that Bahamut in the Fame Rush. We know you looked at it. It gave the adamant.
Yes, that I figured.
And as soon as you walked away from that, it was really the end of it, because that's the difference. What was your thinking in just skipping that?
Yeah, I saw the Bahamut. He was sitting there. I had Star Veils, and because I did buy a couple Star Veils when I found them in Troya, because I used them against Galba, so I knew I had them. But I had that pan, and it was 3 checks immediately versus the Bahamut, which would have been relatively free, but would have taken some time. And I ducked tower first, so if my opponent had gone immediately to Feymarch and gotten the pan and did those checks, and it was valuable, then I was behind. So
It was really just a matter of you wanting to make up a little bit of time and playing the numbers that it wasn't required.
yeah, I was hoping, and don't it was 3 different times where I said, okay, maybe I should go back and get the Bahamut before I move on, and that was after I got the Twin Harp, I said, all right, Bahamut's still there, but should I do it, or should I keep going?
Yeah,
And then after I got
down
the
the rabbit hole, you found the Darkness Crystal, which was in a lot of cases the way to go.
yeah, but even after getting Darkness Crystal, the Bahamut was I still had this just urge, like, okay, I can just run to Bahamut right now, and if it's adamant, I have the pass. But I heard Jeebus's voice in my head, just said, do your objectives, just do your objectives, and I went for it.
Objectives are the name of the game. There was no guarantee that was the play to make. So there's no shame in skipping it. You had the White Spiral to run the table. You knew that was an objective. That would give you go mode, and all we had to do was walk to Z. In another occasion, that might have been the correct play, just not today.
Yeah, and I think I also want to go back. If I'm going to do Feymarch bosses, I'm going to want to try to do both of them. And the other boss was CPU. Was the other?
It was, yes.
Yeah, so I wasn't taking that with the levels I had. Unfortunately. I mean, after I had the 10 key items even before doing Twin Harp, so worst case, if it didn't get any value, I'd go back, do the egg grind, and then take on both bosses and see if there's value there. Yeah.
And it was definitely the right decision in my mind to fade that CPU check. With the Sylph, that would have been a very manageable fight, but it really would have taken a long time. And like you said, the objective was on the moon, so maybe do the faster overall checks and hope you get moon access out of them.
Yeah, that was the goal. Otherwise, I was really proud of myself that as soon as I got underground, I went right back into the tower. Not something I tend to do. I want to do those free checks, but I saw that Calbrina up there, and I said, I have 2 Stardust Rods and a Quack Kid. I'm gonna go take out this pretty free boss.
Yeah, it's definitely free up there. One thing we noted, on your way down that hook route, you took the Mad Ogre chest, but you didn't live glitch the Mad Ogres themselves. Any reason for that, considering you had no idea what was at the King Queen Nebulon spot at that point, and it could have been something you needed hit points for?
No reason other than I had already kind of burned some time a slow life glitching of the Kaipo guards, and was that before? Yeah, that was before.
It was before, yes.
Yeah. So, and I just felt like, okay, I already burned the time there. If I slow this fight down, and I might lose. I can make up the 30 seconds here and just keep going. And I saw that was Pain Man. I knew I could survive Pain Man. In that first fight, I had good levels. I could push through.
Fair enough. So, any final thoughts about this seed? You are 0-1 and now. Well, any final thoughts about this seed or going forward? You are 0-1 now. You're pretty much up against the wall. Oh, you need victories now. Is that going to change your play anyway?
Yeah, I gotta start playing more aggressively, and I gotta get in the headspace that if there's a check and I am on top of it, I gotta jump at it. And that kind of mindset probably would have changed my approach to the Bahamut sitting there. But yeah, hopefully I can eke out those last 2 wins and make one final, one extra race at the very minimum. But I knew Hook Route was going to be tough, and there's definitely still a lot of good racers who also took one loss. So I definitely don't feel comfortable right now.
Yeah. Well, we wish you the best of luck. I'm liking to call this the last chance saloon. So hopefully you take those shots, you get through to the play-ins, and we'll see you again.
All right, thanks a lot, guys, and thanks to everyone on commentary and restream. Okay.
So that is the end of this particular race, Boris Soren. Would you like to tell our viewers where we're going next?
I think we're going to head on over to RPG Limit Break. We've got a very exciting rematch between Neon Grey and Lord Bob Bree that should be started right about now.
Yeah, the first race of this particular one was so close, we had to call it a tie. It was less than a second between the two victories between the two runners on a literal replaying of both players' races. So this is a rematch. This is going to be a high match no matter what, because everything's to play for just pride, if nothing else. We're going to pass you over to them. Enjoy the race. We're going to be out of here. We're going to be watching it as well. Plenty more Highway to the Threemus Zone coming up on Randomania, RPG Limit Break, and the Free Enterprise channel. Enjoy everything. This has been a massive and fantastic tournament so far. We've got plenty more to come.
All right. Good night, everybody.